The We Are Wakefield podcast is brought to you in partnership with Podmatic. Welcome to the We Are Wakefield podcast 2025, episode 2, in partnership with Podmatic. I'm joined today by Cathy Burns from What's Your Story, Nigel Greenwood from Bubul, and Martin Weaver-Parker from the Yorkshire Broker. So welcome everybody to the We Are Wakefield podcast.
Thank you.
We're here today to discuss the Bubul platform, really, and how we're all part of that, what it is, who should use it, why we use it. But first of all, I'm going to come around and sort of give you the opportunity to say who you are, what you do and why you do it. So I'll come to you first, Cathy. Okay. So you're from What's Your Story? So right. Cathy, what is your story?
So I'm Cathy Burns and I run a company called What's Your Story, and we bring people's businesses to life through social media. So if people don't like doing social media, it's taking up all their life, they don't enjoy it, they don't know about it, then that's where we step in and we take the social media headache away from people.
And it can be quite a burden for businesses these days, can't it? Because it's something that you need to really keep up with. But it's an extra job within a business that, especially a small business where people are already wearing 10 hats a day and doing everything within the business, the social media can be quite a hefty task, can't it?
And if they should be hitting the phones that day, for example, it's a bit like cleaning your bedroom, isn't it? You get on social media and spend half a day on that and you're busy, but you can be busy for hours on social media. So it's a good excuse if you don't want to do your new biz.
That's true. So it's also a distraction, isn't it, within a business?
It can be a massive distraction for people. And the key to it all is planning it.
Yeah.
Although it sounds counterintuitive on social, the best way to get the most out of social media is to have a plan.
And I suppose to know which platform's going to work best for your business as well. That's quite important, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the starting point, really. But then have a plan, have a content calendar, have a regular time a week to do it and stick to it.
Yeah.
That's the sort of underlying bit. And then you can be creative on top.
So what's your story before What's Your Story then, Cathy? How did you get into this line of work? What's your background?
Well, I had a fabulous job at a company called Brilliant Media. I used to be on the board. We turned over 150 million a year.
Goodness me.
And we did everything, every sort of media, TV, out of home, radio, and then digital came in. I was there 11 years altogether. And then we started to work with all the digital specialists, and it was taken over, and I'd loved it, and then I hated it because it was almost taken over by accountants, if you like, and I couldn't stand it any longer. So I always say I negotiated my way out of a well-paid job, and I don't think I'll ever earn as much as I did in them days. But it's not all about money, is it? But when I was leaving there, I got the opportunity, because I had a redundancy package, to set up on my own. And it was like, well, which area of marketing do I go into? Because I've been in marketing since I was 21 in one shape or form. And press was dying on its feet. And so social was just coming into the market, really. It was 2013. And I was working with a young social media woman, and she came and worked with me, and I did a diploma in social media marketing, and it was quite a hard slog to start with, because people nowadays, a lot of people come to us and ask for it, but in those days, as well as starting your own business, you're also convincing people that social was the way to go.
Yeah.
So, but as it's gone on, and particularly now, everybody realises that it's a very low-cost way of getting to the people you want to get to. And if you want to then advertise on social, it's massively targeted, and you can also test your creative to see if it's working. And so it is absolutely fantastic, and I did the right thing all them years ago going into social media.
Yeah, that kind of change in direction, but it's as times were changing, and the kind of landscape for marketing's changed quite a lot, hasn't it, over the years?
But I always say it's only a different platform, really. I mean, there's all the fundamentals about marketing and advertising and your marketing strategy reaching your customers, they're all the same. It's just that you do it in a different place. It was probably a bit like when radio first came along, everybody were panicking, TV, digital, but the fundamentals are always the same of how do you reach people with the right message. It's just learning the platform or platforms and keeping up with them because they're forever changing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got a great little team with you as well,
I
haven't
have,
you?
yes, I have.
That works brilliantly.
Becky's a superstar. I'll give her a shout out.
Yeah, she's amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's obviously no secret that What's Your Story, you've now taken that burden from me and you're doing our social media.
And we're loving it.
Yeah, and I'm loving you doing it as well because it was just too much to take on all the time. You just haven't got the time to, commit to all those different platforms, all those different events that we've got going on all the time. So you started off by covering the business awards side of things for me, didn't you?
Yeah, which was
and
fun.
then I mean, it's great events, isn't it, to cover? And there's always plenty of content. We're not lacking in content, but you're doing a brilliant job for me. It's really supporting me and taking that burden off my shoulders. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
So I'm going to come over to you, Nigel. So tell us a little bit about Nigel Greenwood, who he is, what he does and why he does it.
Okay, so I'm Nigel Greenwood. I developed Bubul, which is short for Business Builder, which is the world's first platform that can work out what advice a small business needs and then deliver it. It does so by asking the questions that a business advisor would, uses the answers to work out what the next question should be, and then it delivers a set of recommendations based on all the answers, with each recommendation having a link to an advice page. So it's about giving the 3 out of 4 small businesses in the UK that don't currently get any advice, the advice that they need to survive and thrive. The government stats show that a small business is 40% more likely to keep going if they get the right advice, and they will grow twice as fast as those that don't. And there are between 4.5 and 5 million micro businesses in the UK, most with 1 or 2 people. So just like with you, Cathy, where they're wearing all the 10 hats, they can't do everything. They need help and advice and other people to do some of the work sometimes, but they need to find those right people. Because there's lots of people out there that will take the money but not deliver the service that they need. So it's just that way of helping small businesses and helping people start their own business, because no matter how many millions of businesses there are there already, there's probably just as many people that have got a great idea that would like to start their own business, don't really know what's involved or how to start doing it, but think of the impact not just on them, but on the economy as a whole. So small businesses generate £2.2 trillion a year for the UK economy. If we could just improve that by 10%, that gives the Chancellor another 220 million to spend, which would solve an awful lot of problems for the UK.
Really would, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And supporting those people as well from an idea and a concept that they might have to start a business, giving someone that little bit of backing, because I mean, it's what we're all about at We Are Wakefield, isn't it? Share your problems, share your challenges. There'll be someone out there who can support you with things. I mean, how did the idea of Bubul come about for you? Where did it all spring from?
So I'd had a long, comfortable corporate career. My last corporate job, I was head of customer loyalty for Halifax Bank of Scotland.
Right.
Then I went contracting with some large corporates. Got fed up of working with them because they just don't listen to you, they don't change.
Right.
So I set up my business in 2013 to act as a business advisor for small businesses. But I found that lots of micro businesses couldn't afford to use me. So the only way to get that advice out to them was by developing software. I'd never done it, but I just thought, how difficult could it be?
Right.
Roll forward 6 years and a lot of money, and we got there. But it's just from a personal experience. So my mum and dad both had micro businesses. My dad's was in the textile industry. He had to close it.
Right.
My mum and dad had to sell the house to pay off the company debts. Well, they didn't have to. The only advice they ever got was that it's a limited company, you can walk away, but they weren't that sort of people. All the stress that was caused going through all of that they both then had ill health for the rest of their lives,
Oh, goodness me.
which is why I stayed in a corporate career for a long time. I was scared of starting a business.
For the lack of security that brings, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was in my 50s when I started, so financially I was more comfortable than I would have been otherwise. But the pressures that starting your own business brings and having to generate that money, and I think just the learning curve that you go on. You're really good at something and you start your business based around that, and then you realize all the things that you don't know about running a business. And if you don't get the help you need, you're much more likely to fail. And that's just got a devastating impact on the individual and the family. So the more we can do to avoid that, and working with We Are Wakefield and all the members that are there and how supportive they are, all the experience they've got, and well, if they're like me, most of us have made mistakes,
Yeah.
and hopefully we've learned from those mistakes.
Hopefully.
And if you can help others avoid those mistakes, then that's brilliant, isn't it?
Absolutely. We'll come back to Bubul. I'm going to come on to Martin. So Martin with Park from the Yorkshire Broker. So tell us how the Yorkshire Broker came about and tell us a little bit about you.
Well, so I'm Martin from the Yorkshire Broker. The Yorkshire Broker came about. How did it come about? So it was an idea about 4 years ago now. So basically, I'll start from the beginning. So I previously worked for a commercial insurance broker back in the day when it was actually a high street personal lines broker selling car and home insurance predominantly. I was with that business for almost 20 years, saw it grow and develop into a commercial broker, and I grew with that business. I started out as an office junior and finished off as the MD of the broker.
Wow.
But the owner of the business always had a plan to sell it and sort of retire at the end of it. We always knew that, and then that happened. The business was sold into more of a corporate entity, to be honest, and then there was lots of change. The business sort of lost its identity to a certain extent. So I knew at that point of around 4 years ago that it was time to do something different, time for a change. Didn't know what that was, and a friend of mine sat me down and said, "Why don't you just do it on your own?" And I'm like, "No, no, I can't do that."
And you'd
then
never even considered that at that point.
no,
Right.
no. And then it was just, I think she just planted the seed, and that just built. And I thought, well, actually, what have I been doing for the last however many years? I could do that. I mean, it was a scary prospect, and I approached Phil, and he partnered up with me, and then it took around 18 months of planning. But then we finally launched just over 2 years ago. We're into his third year now.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember. I remember you coming to your first We Are Wakefield event as the Yorkshire Broker, but the Yorkshire Broker didn't actually exist at
No.
that point.
No,
It was
didn't.
all in planning, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it's been an absolute pleasure to watch you grow
Thank you.
to the point where you're now a multi-award winning business.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been great to be part of We Are Wakefield through that journey as well. Because it's a huge help. I mean, that first meeting, I still remember it at Nostell, and I walked
Yeah.
into that room and was like, whoa.
We're getting a bit of a pat on these podcasts about that. Yeah.
What
yeah,
do I do
yeah,
here?
yeah.
And then you get talking to people as you do, and that relationship with different businesses just grows and develops, and it's been great to get to know other businesses as well, and the people within We Are Wakefield and other networking groups. It's been an interesting journey.
Yeah, yeah. But I think we're all kind of winging it to an extent with a small business, aren't we? We're all learning as you go. Nobody's the expert in everything. And that's where we bring Bubul in, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you approached me probably, God, over 2 years ago now, wasn't it?
Yeah, would be.
And said, can we use Bubul through We Are Wakefield? And my first objection, because I love the platform, and we need to explain really in basic terms what it is and what it does. But I love the concept and I love the idea. But the only thing was, I would have then been sending people for advice to people and experts that weren't We Are Wakefield members.
Yeah.
And I was conscious that that kind of created a little bit of, not friction, but it just didn't quite work within what we were trying to achieve as a community. So you went away and the We Are Wakefield bubble was born. So just tell us a little bit.
It wasn't quite as easy as
It
that.
wasn't as easy as that. It wasn't as easy as that. I know it's a long, complicated process, but we have an actual bespoke version of Bubul for We Are Wakefield, don't we? But saying that, anyone can use it. You don't have to be a member of We Are Wakefield to use it, and it's live on our website, so that's how you access it, through the We Are Wakefield website. But anybody can use it, and the only difference with our version is you will be directed to a We Are Wakefield member expert.
Yeah.
So tell us, once you go onto our website, you find Bubul on there, what do you do, what happens, and what do you get out of it?
You just need to register, which is giving your name, your email address, and the business name if you've got one. And then as soon as you've done that, you get an email with a link and a unique password, and you're straight into being able to answer all the questions. You'll also get a user guide, so it's nice and simple to use.
Mm-hmm.
This is the version for somebody starting their own business. So it's looking at, what do you know about starting a business? What don't you know? And it'll work out what you don't know. So it's going to take you about 30 minutes to answer all the questions. So the advice always is, grab a cup of tea or a coffee, sit down, and it will help you plan out everything that you're going to do. So just like Martin, as you were saying, it was 18 months planning. You can cut a lot of that down by using the software and finding out. And it's either going to come and say, right, yeah, these are the things that you need to know. And you'll then start to look at those detailed recommendations, and it helps you put together an action plan to get that business started. But the thing that's different with the We Are Wakefield version is, like you said, we just use We Are Wakefield members as the experts.
Mm-hmm.
It will direct you to a certain number of those experts who've provided the advice, but also you can access any of the We Are Wakefield members, and we'll help you do that. So if there's anything in particular that you need to know that hasn't been covered by the software, you've got an email address, you can email it straight into us. We'll find the right We Are Wakefield member and put you in touch. And the thing about We Are Wakefield is, yes, it's a community of businesses, and mainly small businesses, that have been there, done that, bought the t-shirt and worn it out, basically.
Yeah.
But they're also incredibly supportive. So We Are Wakefield isn't a sort of thing where you go to a meeting, and I remember my first meeting, and it's like, God, there's so many people, and how do you get to talk to them and all of that. But the more you get to talk to them, the more they're interested, not in selling to you, but in helping you.
Yeah.
And pointing you to other people. And the software's just a version of that. It just makes it easier to find the right people to help you start your business. Or for some people that use it, to decide, actually, it's too much. I don't want to start my own business, which is just as valid a decision.
It absolutely is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because, like you said, when you had to make the decision to leave that corporate machine that you were working in to set up on your own, it's really daunting. It's massively challenging, and it's really scary, isn't it? You just don't know how long it's going to take you to generate that regular income again. I mean, I'm sure that was what was going through your mind when you were leaving.
Absolutely,
your
yeah. I
previous
mean, it was
employer.
a long journey, and it's there's been a lot of ups and downs when it comes to that side of things, and
Yeah.
We touch wood. We're
Doing all right.
just about there. Yeah.
Doing all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I found it. I can remember the first day when I was sitting at my office desk at home, thinking, right, I need to do some networking. I'd never networked in my life, and I literally Googled networking meetings near me. There was one that afternoon. I went, paid £10 on the door, walked in, and there must have been 70 or 80 people. In those days, mainly middle-aged men in grey suits, all in groups of 2 or 3, talking to each other. And it's like, and I was so close to turning around and going back out because it was just so intimidating. So one of the things that for example, we've got on the We Are Wakefield version of Bubul, it asks you about networking and how comfortable you are. And if you haven't done it before or you're not that comfortable, it will give you a page, detailed advice, what networking's about, how to do it, and the contact expert who will give you any further help that you need. And we've got the expert in the room, so it's Claire.
It's me. Yes.
So, you know, if you're looking for the right person to talk to about how to network successfully, it's got to be the person that set up We Are Wakefield and
Absolutely.
Yeah,
driven
but
it.
I mean, it's like I say to everyone though, I'm not there selling We Are Wakefield per se. I'm saying, and I say this to everyone, networking's very personal. You've got to find the right group for you. Ours is a big group. It can be a little bit daunting when you walk in for the first time, like you've just said. But once you get over that, people find that it's a really friendly, welcoming community and everyone's out there to support each other. It's not that hard sell environment. But that might not be right for someone. Someone might actually want something where actually, you know, I need some more structure to be networking. I need to be accountable for me networking. And there are different forms of networking out there, and you've got to find which one's best for you and shop around. Ours might not be that one for you. And I'm the first person to say that. Go try different forms, different groups, different size groups. There might be sector specific organisations out there that can be more targeted for you. So it's not something, the Bubul platform's not something that's going to send you to an expert and they're just going to give you the hard sell. So you first get to their page, and that's got lots of advice on there. So the reason we've got you here today is because Cathy and Martin are Bubul experts. So we've got our marketing and social media expert here with Cathy. We've got our commercial insurance expert here with Martin. But nobody on there will say, right now you've got to come and buy from us. It's all about getting that right advice to start out, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then if you feel that you want to speak to that expert further and get some more information, there's a no obligation 30-minute session available from that expert, isn't there?
Yeah. And I think the other important thing is that they're just We Are Wakefield members, they're the experts. They don't pay to be on Bubul.
No.
And they don't pay any commission to Bubul. So it's all about helping people start their own business in the Wakefield area or beyond.
Yeah.
Giving them the help and support that they need, and giving them access to lots of help and advice and support. So whether that's coming along to We Are Wakefield events and joining, or whether it's talking to Cathy about what's the best way to promote this new business, you know, and just to get that advice from an expert who's not looking to sell to you, who's just looking to help you, is invaluable.
Join us for the West Yorkshire Conference on 9th of July at Pontefract Racecourse. Head over to wearewakefield.org.uk/events for more information. It is. And it's not just brand new businesses and not just those that where there might be just a concept, but fledgling businesses as well, because you're kind of learning as you go along, aren't you? And it might be that it's something that you've not thought about to do some paid marketing at that point, but you might be in a position, you know, further down the line where you are, everybody's going to need their insurance setting up. But like you said, Cathy, it's something where people come at a point where they realise they need to invest more in that.
And often you get a lot more than social media advice. I mean, the thing is, I've been in business for years, and when I started on my own, I was running, you know, helping run a big company. But we had an FD, we had an IT expert, we had anybody you needed, you know, P&L dropped on your desk. So it was easy, to be honest with you. All you had to deal with were your clients and your customers, and obviously your peers. We had a few fallouts in boardroom, but that was part of the cost. But then you go and you start working for yourself, and honest to God, I mean, I'd got an MBA, I thought I knew everything. You start completely again, I think, completely from scratch. You didn't realise what you didn't know until you get there and you don't know it. And you don't know, I mean, I'm no IT expert to this day. Finance, not as bad, but, you know, you have to be everything. You have to be everything, and I think somewhere that you can go to and maybe shortcut that journey. And even if it ends up being, well, perhaps not right for you to be starting your own business, you wouldn't say that, but if they work that out themselves. But I'm an eternal optimist. I'm also very tenacious. So I just went into it. I didn't really have a plan. It's just like my ex-boss said, come on, working with me in our office. And I can remember thinking, God, my phone starts ringing. It was like, it never rang, And then for me, success was when people started getting in touch with me.
Yeah.
Because I knew you were there, and now it's great because I get loads of referrals, particularly from We Are Wakefield. And life's happy, but you do go through a really difficult learning curve if you don't get the advice.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is it's really lonely when you start your own
Oh,
business.
it's really isolated, isn't
Yeah.
it? You're working on your own, yeah.
And you can doubt yourself quite a lot. And sometimes you can make decisions in haste that, when you reflect, were a mistake. I mean, what am I now? 12 years into running my own business. I post on LinkedIn quite a lot about the mistakes that I've made,
Yeah.
and people go, "Well, that's a stupid thing to do, isn't it?" And I go, "Well, but I've got so much material,
Yeah.
I'd love to write a book, but it'd be longer than all the Harry Potter books
Yeah.
put together." Um, but everybody makes mistakes,
They
and
do.
and quite often you can make a mistake. And I remember the first one that I made; it cost me over £3,000,
Right.
and that could have been the end of it.
Mm.
Luckily for me, it wasn't. But sometimes it can be just make one mistake, and the loneliness piece. If you can just, with Bubble, yeah, you get the advice. You'll start to build relationships with the experts, and any of them, even if you've already had your 30 minutes of advice, will be quite happy if you pick the phone up to them and say, "Can I just run this past you? I've got this. Gut feel doesn't feel quite right, but I'd just like to bounce this off you."
Yeah.
And any of
Because
us
whilst
would do that.
they're experts in their own subject matter, they're also fellow business owners
Yeah.
and going through the same journey. You might just be further on that journey than you are at the time. I think when I reflect on my past, so we had a family business for 27 years. It's common knowledge, I don't make a secret of it. We went into liquidation in 2019. Horrific time. But my biggest regret, if I have any, because to be honest, it's brought me where I am today, which is amazing. I couldn't wish for a better job than the one I do now. But I think the biggest mistakes I made was keeping myself to myself, not having that courage to ask for support, not knowing who to ask. I didn't do any networking back then. I was in a very male dominated industry as well. So it was a security business. So I felt quite isolated in that I was sort of the token female in the industry back then. I'm sure it's changed now, but just not knowing who to go to advice for. So I think if there'd have been a platform like Bubble where I could have just maybe in the comfort of my own office or back bedroom or wherever you're setting up, and you can kind of hide behind your keyboard a little bit for that first introduction to someone, it eases you in, doesn't it? It's not as daunting as maybe attending a big networking event for the first time. You can hop onto the website, hop onto Bubble, find some friendly faces on there, and speaking to the right people will help you make those decisions, make you feel less isolated, and hopefully take you further on that journey to success, won't it?
Yeah, and I don't think that can be understated, really.
No.
So, in my personal business journey, I hit a point, and I mentioned it took me 6 years to develop the software, and there was a point, probably about halfway through, where I hit a complete brick wall. So that was financially, mentally, physically, absolutely rock bottom, to the point where my wife came home and found me curled up on the floor, unable to move.
Right.
And she just went, "You need some help. You
Yeah.
either give up now," and I wasn't going to do that, or you need some help. There wasn't anything like Bubble at the time. What I did, I phoned 6 small business owners that I knew really well, and I just said, "I really need your help. If I buy you breakfast, will you give me a morning?" One of them wanted 2 breakfasts,
No?
but they did.
Yeah.
And they all came, and that essentially I created an advisory board, and I wouldn't be here without them, and the business wouldn't be. And it's trying to make sure that anyone who's got a fledgling business or is starting their own business knows that other people have got the back, even if they've not met you yet.
Yeah.
But through We Are Wakefield and their version of Bubul, they can have that, and that's essential.
Have you found that, Martin, that peer support and having people around you has really supported you in your relatively short journey to where we are now?
Absolutely. Being part of something like We Are Wakefield, there's so many businesses in different industries of expertise, and I know I could call on any one of them.
Yeah.
And ask their advice, and we often do. I could list half a dozen that we spoke to in the last couple of months, to be honest, because we're planning that growth and change, and there's different things that we're going to need to do and develop the business, and it's great. So it's fantastic support.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really is.
What would your advice be, Cathy? What have you learned on your journey?
Well, networking. I didn't do any networking. I would say for a good year, maybe 18 months. I was scared of it. It was like that as well. You walk into a place and there were a lot of cliques and you didn't know how to break into them. Standing there on your own with your cup of tea or whatever you've got in your hand.
Bacon butter, usually.
It's nowadays, but I can't speak to anybody with a massive bacon butter, so I can't do that anymore. But and one of my old clients said, "Come with me on this networking event." And to be honest, that's because he took me by the hand, and so it wasn't as daunting. And then I kept going to that particular one, but and eventually I can remember in those days, because I don't know if I'm on my own, but I think most people go through a few name changes, because when you start up, you get loads of folk who go with their initials. So I'm called Cathy Burns. I was CB Comms, and I remember a guy in his estate agent up in Harrogate, and he said to me, we had a one-to-one, and he said to me, "You sound like a telecoms company." And I thought, do you know what, you're right there. So for that period, I changed it to CB Social, which obviously did a lot more, what it does on the tin. But then I met a business partner, actually, who I was in business with for about 3 or 4 years. And he was a web designer, and we went out for a long lunch. We had a couple of bottles of wine. Just, if anybody knows me, that's my favourite thing to do. And we came up with your story. This is an iteration of it now. And what that did was it made us look a lot bigger than we were. And I think I've gone right off the point of what you asked me, but what have I learned? So what I've learned is I should have networked sooner. I think that would be one of the things, that if anybody's setting up on their own, start networking quickly, because you meet a lot of people, you get known, people start to know that you're there. But in terms of networking, I think you should try, like you said, a few things. And then we find something you're comfortable with, stand still, because you've got to stand still long enough for people to know you are. It's all right doing the butterfly thing, but
that's right.
What people forget is that they don't really remember you. They've seen loads of folk that day.
Yeah.
So if you find something that you like and you're comfortable with, then you've got to give it time for people to get to know you and you to get to know them. And it's that, isn't it? That like, know, buy, trust.
Yeah.
That's the process, really, for most people. And so, I would say get networking as soon as you can, find something you like and stick with it. Don't keep flittering about from one place to another and become a professional networker, because really you don't get very far with that.
You can spend a lot of time on it as well, can't you?
You can, yeah.
I mean, you've got to get that balance of, we all need to work on as well as in the business, but there's only so much time you can spend outside the office, isn't there, really? Yeah, I mean, what would you say about it? Because I know that you and Phil do quite a lot of networking, but obviously you've got to have enough time to get your work
absolutely.
done as well.
And that is, it's difficult to find that balance, to be honest, because we always want to do more, because that's where most of us, 90% of our business has come from, through networking and referrals from those groups of businesses. So it's hard to not do it. And sort of be at home, but we just sort of try and find a balance between us, that there's always someone there when someone needs us, I
Yeah.
guess, really, within the office. It's very rare that we're out together, apart from We Are Wakefield.
Yeah.
We make an exception
I
for We Are
know.
Wakefield.
I know, yeah. And we do like seeing you both.
Yeah.
Yeah, we let Phil in, don't we?
Yeah.
Now and again, bless him. Yeah. So what would you say, Nigel? I mean, the Bubble platform is an amazing way for people to, like you said, find some allies, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's it's a much less intimidating way of doing it than walking into a networking group for the first time. Not that I'm not recommending it, because of course I am. But who are using Bubble? Who are the people that are really benefiting from it? And have you got any sort of examples of people that have started out and then you've seen them grow through and flourish?
Yeah, so it's still early days for the We Are Wakefield version.
Yeah, obviously.
For the full version of Bubble, so to be clear, our main market for that are accountants.
Right.
So we'll give them their own version with their own branding, and they can use it with the clients. And also people can get Bubble from us directly for £20 a month. What we've seen is a lady who was a virtual assistant, sole entrepreneur, used it for 6 months and then phoned me and says, "I'm really sorry, Nigel, but I'm going to have to stop using it for a while." And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Why?" She said, "I'm that busy now, and I've actually grown, so we've got 6 people working with me."
Goodness me.
And she's done amazing. We've got a couple of guys with an online business who've used it for a year, and their revenue has gone up 10 times. We've got others that have used it for a month, and then they've decided it's just too much hard work to start their own business, and they've gone employed, which is great. We've got others that have used it, so accountants that use it, and what they're saying is that it's an easy way for them to make sure their micro clients get a good range of advice other than the advice that they normally provide, and that what they're seeing is those clients are growing faster and they're staying with them.
Yeah. So it's complementing their offer, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's all about us finding the right way to get to all those micro businesses, because you can't, and no matter how much you use social media, just the sheer cost of trying to get to 4.5 million small businesses, it's just not feasible. I mean, the only way we could have done it would by taking external investment, and we were offered it. But the interesting thing with that is when you start talking to them, and my first question was, "What are your values?" And they sort of give you a blank look because they haven't really got any, and you think, "I don't want to work with you." What I want to do is collaborate with people who've got the same values that I have. And that's exactly what we did when we set up Wakefield. You and I had a long conversation.
We did.
So 200 plus members. Who are the right ones to be on this? Who's going to give most help? Who's going to get and add most value to it?
Yeah.
And that's exactly how we've done it.
And we are looking for some more experts, aren't we, for the We Are Wakefield version? Yeah. So if any of our members are wanting to get on board, then they need to contact you, because we've not got all bases covered on there yet, have we?
Not yet.
It's quite early stages. I mean, people will think, well, you don't get anything for nothing, but actually you are getting this for nothing.
Yeah.
Our whole thinking behind it is that if we offer new or fledgling businesses this free service, it's a win-win. So they get great advice. Hopefully they become We Are Wakefield members in the future. No pressure at all. They'll never be asked to sign up to any contracts, spend any money, nothing like that. But we hope that we're giving them some good advice and setting them on the right path so that they become an amazing member of our brilliant community. The experts on there hopefully will give out some great advice and may get some business out of it further down the line from the person they've advised. Again, no pressure, no contracts, nothing to sign up to. So it's a win-win for everyone, isn't it? It was a no-brainer for me to get involved with this.
Yeah, I think that's the bit that I think it takes a certain type of business owner one, to be part of We Are Wakefield,
Yeah.
and two, to be part of this. And it's the sort of person that is prepared to put time and effort into helping others.
Yeah.
And it's like when you go networking, isn't it? You know, we've all seen the sort of people that come into a network meeting and they're looking for who can I sell to.
Yeah.
And networking is not like that, and We Are Wakefield definitely isn't.
No.
It's much more about who can I get to know, what relationships can I develop, who can I help, and just by doing that, you know the business is going to come anyway because you're that sort of person, and it just reflects all those values, and that's why we were really keen to work with We Are Wakefield and get that done, because it's all about having those right values.
Absolutely, yeah. And everyone sitting here today has got those values that align with what we're all talking about, haven't we? I mean, Cathy, tell us about when you go networking. So how do your conversations, give us a typical example of when a conversation's turned into something fruitful for you, it's actually converted into business. How did it start, that conversation?
Well, occasionally we have been looked for at the place and the person wants what you're offering, but that's the exception, not the rule.
But it's lovely when that happens.
It is lovely when it happens. But maybe with like us two working together, you know, you hadn't come to talk to us about social media, had you? You came to...
What did I come to talk
video,
to you about? I wanted some advice. You were going to give me free advice.
Yes.
That's exactly what we're talking about today.
Which I have done to quite a lot of people in We Are Wakefield and beyond.
Yeah.
But that's where it started. And then you were saying, oh, God, social media with the expo, and
it was the Business Awards, wasn't it?
Business Awards,
so I'd
Business
seen the
Awards,
lovely
that's right,
reels. Yeah. So Becca comes to our events,
yeah,
and she does these amazing reels, even before you were doing our social media, because that's quite recent, isn't it?
Yeah.
But Becca would come, as What's Your Story, do an amazing reel of the event, and what a lovely morning she'd had. And I'd admire these, thinking they're so much better than the ones that I could possibly do. And you and Becca were going to give me some free advice about how to create these amazing reels. So I turned up at your office in Ossett, and that's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Then got into a conversation about the Business Awards coming up again. It was, yeah. And I said, oh gosh, it's just so much, it's so much to think about. And I didn't think that I was in a position to be able to outsource that. But after a conversation, it made much more sense to me to let you do it and pay for your services than the time it was taking me to do it, and not get the polished result that I was happy with. I was muddling through. So that's a great example, isn't it, really, of how something with great intentions on both sides, you weren't intending to sell, I wasn't intending to buy, but business came from it. And I suppose you can all think of examples of things like that. I mean, how do your relationships build within?
I mean, it happens quite a lot particularly within We Are Wakefield, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time, and we insure a number of We Are Wakefield members now, but it wasn't through us going in and saying, we do insurance, do you want to buy, do you want to quote? And it just happens naturally that those relationships grow and progress. But it's not just about insuring the individuals. A lot of people from We Are Wakefield now refer business to us. And we are the only referral point for those businesses, which is fantastic to have to be thought of.
Trusted relationships.
In that way, and be trusted in that way. It's great, and it's sort of a little bit like what Bubul is all about, really, and it's great.
Yeah, I mean, we've had Phil. I love like I said, it's been a real pleasure to see your journey from start to now, from zero to heroes within the group, I've got to say. And like I said, a multi-award winning business already. I mean, we've had Phil having a sponsored beard shave. If you've not met Phil, he's got this glorious, huge beard that, I mean, I know you bearded yourself, but Phil's taken it to the next level, Martin,
Absolutely.
We've had him do a sponsored beard shave for a charity within the group.
That was one of his first meetings as well, when we shaved his beard.
Yeah.
Baptism,
so
he walked
in one man and walked out another, didn't he? He looked completely different. But it's all about raising your profile, building relationships. And then it naturally happens, doesn't it? But I suppose the point of this podcast today is to say, don't be afraid to ask for help. get the right advice, isn't it? And that's obviously what we're talking about with Bubul today.
Yeah, and I think it's just it's this bit about people go, well, you don't get out for now,
But
but
sometimes you can.
sometimes you do.
Yeah.
And then we had it, so we met at We Are Wakefield event. We probably chatted briefly 2 or 3 times, and then we were talking about the We Are Wakefield Bubul. So we sat down and had a coffee, didn't we?
Yes.
I think you made me pay for it, to be fair, but
But
we were
You've been in
talking.
business longer than him. It's only fair.
We were talking about yeah, and he didn't ask for a cake or anything like that, so that it was
Not
okay.
great,
It was reasonable.
Yeah.
But then we had a really good conversation. We got to know each other. So when my insurance came up for renewal, he was the first person that I found.
Again, building relationships.
And so now I'm a client, and now we're talking about not just being on the We Are Wakefield version, but on the full version of Bubul, which is national. So who knows what benefits come from that? But it all comes from, I think, being open, being honest, talking about what you're doing, talking about any issues that you've got, sharing your values, building those relationships. And yeah, it can take time, but it's just the right way to do business, isn't it? It's the right way to be.
Absolutely.
Well, I've had this week 2 referrals from 2 We Are Wakefield members who aren't our clients, but I have put proposals to them both, but it wasn't the right time for them and they didn't take them up, but they both referred me to different people and they're not even my clients. So that's lovely, that, isn't it?
Again, it's the like, no trust thing, isn't it? You've built a relationship with them, and although that's not materialised into business, it has. It's not with them, but then they've obviously referred you because they've built that relationship and that trust with you. So I think that's the sort of key takeaway today, isn't it? It's about building relationships, sharing stories, giving people your time.
Yeah, I think it's about being true to yourself. I think it's looking to help other people rather than what can you get out of it.
Yeah.
And I think, and you mentioned it's about being patient, and just showing up consistently.
Yeah.
And helping others.
Yeah.
Because it will come, but people need to know you, and some people won't like you. There's probably quite a few people that know me really well and don't like me.
Really?
Yeah, but
I can't imagine why.
Well, I know, but my wife can give you a list. But there's a lot more people that will.
Yeah.
And you can't be all things to all people.
No.
So to be yourself, find your tribe as such, and success will come.
I think we all agree with that, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Yes.
Anything more to add?
I think that's a good way to end.
Have you got a top tip for 25? Have you got a top tip that you will pass on to our listeners? I think I think you summed yours up really nicely there, didn't you?
Yeah, I think that try not to be distracted by what's going on in the world, and stick with what you're doing if it's the right thing to do, and don't get too pessimistic, because I think that locally, I feel that it's quite buoyant, even though America's doing all it can to sabotage it. It still is fairly buoyant. So I would say, because a lot of people do get distracted with the news and stuff, and I listen to it all the time, but
it can affect your mood, can't it? It can affect your outlook on things. But I think locally, like you said, I'm quite optimistic.
Yes, so am I.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I think from a personal point of view, we're from a business perspective, we've never been as busy in the last.
That's great to hear.
In the last 2 or 3 years, it's a great time for us. Touch wood, and it'll continue.
Yeah. And on that note, I mean, it's a great time for you. You're feeling always optimistic, Cathy. And your tips are to be true to yourself. Make sure people who you work with values align.
Yeah.
What more can we say? Thank you so much for joining me today. It's a pleasure as always. and I'll see you at the next We Are Wakefield event.
Yeah,
You
You will.
thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Find We Are Wakefield at wearewakefield.org.uk.
Find the Yorkshire Broker at theyorkshirebroker.com.
Find the We Are Wakefield version of Bubul at wearewakefield.org.uk and the full version of Bubul at bubblexpert.com.
And find me at whatsyourstory.marketing.
Thanks for listening to the We Are Wakefield podcast in partnership with Podmatic. Hope you can join us for the West Yorkshire Conference on 9th of July at Pontefract Racecourse.